Alright guys, I'm making this video blog today because I want to talk about the movie I saw last night on Netflix called I Am Your Father. I got it playing here on my tablet, my LG G5, and my Lenovo touchscreen. Alright, so the basic gist of the film was David Prowse, the British bodybuilder who played the Darth Vader, behind the mask in the costume, he didn't get an opportunity to voice the role. Everyone knows as James Earl Jones. But the whole point of the movie is this kid from Spain, the Marcus Kubota, he is in love with David Prowse because he met David Prowse when he was a kid. So he's always had a fascination with David Prowse, and he has this bizarre, odd, somewhat sexual fantasy about David Prowse playing Darth Vader, especially at the end of the third movie where he takes his mask off. Everyone knows it was Sebastian Shaw that played him. Now, the one thing that bugged me about this movie, I Am Your Father, they said, obviously, that the scene that's very contentious, at least according to those who understand what the Mandela Effect is a scene where Darth Vader says, I am your father. Now, you're from two camps. One, Luke, I am your father, or no, I am your father. But I'm 34 years old. It's 2017 right now. I've never met a single person in my life, ever, who ever said, oh yeah, I remember, no, I am your father. Everyone remembers, Luke, I am your father. But I'm not here to talk about the Mandela Effect. What I'm here to talk about is how these idiots right here, Tony Bastard and Marcus Kubota, they left out the most important part of the movie Empire Strikes Back. Sure, they talked about the dialogue, I am your father. They talked about it, but gosh darn it, they didn't mention Luke or no. Sure, they didn't have to talk about the Mandela Effect. That doesn't bother me. But at least tackle the damn dialogue. It's contentious. I mean, you made the movie, let's say they made it in 2014, 2015. The Mandela Effect was blowing up around then. How the hell do you not talk about the most contentious dialogue in the history of film? Do you know what I'm talking about? No, I am your father, or Luke, I am your father. Like I said, I've never met a single person on this damn planet who remembers any form of Darth Vader saying, no, I am your father. Nobody remembers that. And that's just the truth. And in the entire movie, they didn't mention it once. How the hell is a filmmaker who wants to talk about David Prowse and Darth Vader? Look at the guy. Look at the guy. He's jogging there, and he's wearing a freaking sweater with Darth Vader on it. Only a hardcore of the hardcore would wear a sweater with Darth Vader on it. I mean, people that don't want to get beat up in the street, or they don't want anyone to think they're a nerd. There's no way in hell they're going to wear a sweater with Darth Vader on it. So how are you going to tell me this guy from Spain who's obsessed with David Prowse has no freaking clue about anything about the Mandela Effect? That scene right there I just showed you. Darth Vader talking about, no, I am your father, Luke, I am your father. Yes, I know I'm rambling. I'm just trying to hammer home the point. The two filmmakers, Tony Bastardi, or Batardi, whatever his name is, and Marcus Kubota, they didn't mention it. Matter of fact, they probably did it on purpose. They left out no, and they left out Luke. The damn movie is called I Am Your Father, right here on Netflix. I Am Your Father. How do you not mention it? Sure, they mentioned that, David Prowse is given alternate dialogue. Obi-Wan Kenobi, he killed your father. Luke Skywalker, no, I'm going to jump to my death, like a little baby. But they didn't mention, oh, by the way, the other portion of dialogue. So we're talking about a 2-hour movie here. A documentary about Darth Vader, David Prowse, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. We're talking about a 2-hour movie where they don't mention once the alternate dialogue. Yes, they mentioned about Obi-Wan Kenobi, but not once did they mention what the other dialogue was that was spoken by James Earl Jones. So Marcus Kubota, Tony Bastardi, you guys blew this movie, and I'm glad it went straight to Netflix because your movie bombed, and deservedly so. I gotta admit, I was pretty entertained by it, but it was missing the one aspect that everyone who's gonna watch this movie wants to see. What about the Mandela Effect? And then let's just consider this. James Earl Jones himself says in an interview that he says, Luke, I am your father. No, he's lying, he's lying. He didn't say no, he said, Luke, I am your father. He's lying, he's lying. And then keep in mind that Hallmark, they make these ornaments, right, for Christmas all the time. These dope-ass ornaments, everyone knows them. They could be Wile E. Coyote, they could be Bugs Bunny, Disney creatures, especially Darth Vader. And for those of you who don't know, there's a Darth Vader ornament that came out in 2005. And it says, Luke, I am your father on it. You press the button, it says, Luke, I am your father. It doesn't say, no, I am your father. It says, Luke, I am your father. Now, Hallmark doesn't make mistakes. They have their own TV channel, for Pete's sakes, okay? Now, could you imagine if Hallmark made a Dorothy Gale from The Wizard of Oz that didn't have blue socks, or it said, we're not in Arkansas anymore? People would lose their crap because they would say, or they would accuse Hallmark of going Reebok and getting their facts wrong, right? It just wouldn't happen. So point being, the point of this whole stupid movie was they wanted to have David Prowse play the last part of the movie from Return of the Jedi, where he takes his mask off at Sebastian Shaw, and they filmed David Prowse in it. And in my opinion, the whole movie is a complete fail. They blew it. They didn't get to the part which actually mattered, the dialogue, which is actually essential because he was never given the correct dialogue, whether it was "No, I am your father," or whether it's "Luke, I am your father." He was giving "Obi-Wan killed your father." And it's an absolute freaking joke. And me personally, I don't care if David Prowse got to play the voice of Darth Vader or not. Who cares? Everyone knows who David Prowse is. I mean, ask yourself this question. Do you think the guy in the King Kong and the Godzilla suit said, you know what, I'd like to be in a feature film these days? No! They accepted the fact that they were the body double and someone else did the voice or the scream or whatever. So yeah, that's just the point I want to make. And if I sound like an idiot and you give me a million thumbs down and call me a loser, I don't care. Just listen to the message.